It's Dave Lawrence, the Workforce Afternoon, and today we're really fortunate to have two very special guests joining us. Later, the legendary bassist from the Band of Gypsies and Jimi Hendrix Experience, our good friend Billy Cox, returns to the show, and ironically, we get more Seattle flavor as we welcome our first guest today. He's a respected and admired guitarist and songwriter who's gifted not just as a musician, but in how he and his bandmates have managed to present themselves over the years that we've enjoyed their music. It's a rare opportunity unfolding tomorrow and the following Saturday, as this cat will appear at both the Blaisdell Arena and Aloha Stadium. Both shows remain on sale, and I personally encourage you, if you've never seen this band live, they are a must-see attraction and in a class with few other bands in terms of energy, excitement, and authenticity. I cannot think of a better place to catch them than the Blaisdell tomorrow night with a show that gives back to the community. I look forward to hearing more with you as we warmly and proudly welcome to the Workforce Afternoon Pearl Jam guitarist and songwriter Mike McCready. Aloha, Mike.
Aloha. What an introduction. I don't know if I can even follow that. Hopefully I can live up to that.
A big mahalo. You've had a great career, and I appreciate you taking a few minutes to be on the show.
Thank you.
I have been wondering, I've been following the Pearl Jam tour, pearljam.com, and I'm sure many fans have. How long have you been here on Oahu? Did you come right after the Perth gig?
Yeah, we left the day after our Perth gig, and we traveled all night, and it took us about 21 hours to get all the way to our hotel, from hotel to hotel, and we were really excited to get here and just actually be on the islands and be back in the U.S., and, you know, we're stoked.
Well, is that really a feeling to be back in the U.S.? That's an interesting way of putting it.
Well, yeah, I mean, just kind of you look at it as the land of convenience. You know, it's more of like that kind of a weird. You know, I got my 7-Eleven, I got my magazines that I like here. I got pretzels, tacos, stuff like that. You know,
the comforts,
the stuff that I grew up with, and that you miss a little bit when you're out. There's great things about Australia. I love Australia, but I miss the food here for sure.
What was the coolest off stage activity you did in Australia?
Boringly, I mean, I went on a bunch of some bike rides. You know, I went on a great bike ride from Perth to Fremantle, and that was really fun. So that's like. It's just beautiful to be able to ride out in that nature and see the beaches over there.
Do you rent a bike there?
Yeah, you just rent one on the from a little bike place, and
like a Harley kind of bike.
No, just a bike. You know,
okay.
I'm far too frightened of Harleys.
I wouldn't ride a Harley either. I'm just curious. I mean, I'm envisioning him like Mike McCready kicking back on a hog, cruising.
No, you envision me underneath it because I'd fall off of it.
So like a mountain bike kind of deal.
Yeah, a mountain bike, and then also doing a little body surfing too was really fun.
When you're on the road, do you spend time together off stage, or do you just find your own space?
We really find our own spaces. You know, everybody will kind of retreat to, their room or go do. Jeff will go out and skateboard a bunch around towns. Ed, if we're in a surfing kind of town, will go out surfing. I'll try to do some sort of, activity outside of there. I like to go look for vinyl. I collect records and stuff. So we all do separate things because we see each other, throughout the day of the show or, traveling every single day. So you want to get away from each other as much as possible so you can give each other space and go, okay, well, I'm glad to see that guy again.
Right. It's a healthy balance that way.
You try to, maintain that. And I think that's part of the reason why we've been around for a while, because we do get away from each other.
Yeah, and that's sort of what I'm trying to, because as I've said to people when I found out I was going to speak with you, it is a great way to get some insight into the magic that is Pearl Jam. And one of the things that may have contributed to your longevity is doing what you just described, which is not burning yourselves out on each other.
Sure. Yeah, you need to have room, but you also need to have time when you're together to be able to talk to each other and have open lines of communication, like any kind of relationship, because that's what's a lot of things that breaks bands up is not talking to each other and talking through lawyers and talking through managers and stuff like that.
And you've always given that all for one vibe, really, from the cover art on the first record, sort of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like it feeds right into that perception by fans that you guys are close.
We are real close, and we get into it too. We're close, but we also, we have issues with each other. We have to work out, at times and over the years. So that's part of the communication process is going, hey, look, you're pissing me off because of this and this and this and this, and so, and that's that's hard to do, but it's also you got to do it, because if it doesn't, then resentments build up, and I think we'd fall apart.
And it happens with a lot of people that you love. It's just a testament to how close your relationship
Sure.
and how comfortable you are with each other.
And a lot of luck too. I think
Say again.
There's a bunch of luck, and people actually wanting to come still see us as a band. That's another reason that that's huge too.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's nice that you have that grateful aspect to your personality, which I've always heard. How often do you personally come to Hawaii? Do you come when, when was the last time you were here?
I was here about a year ago. In May, I got married here last year in Maui. Actually, my wife and I got married. And
nice.
So we come here as much as we can, once a year if you can, just because it's such a great escape from Seattle kind of drudgery around this time of the year.
Oh, dude, I lived in Boston for 10 years before here. I know all about the drudgery.
Yeah, that's real, yeah.
I mean, that's why I came here.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll do that to you.
So we try to get here as much as possible. I think Ed maybe comes here a little bit more.
Yeah, I've heard that from people, because people who encounter you call my show, and they just tell me the most wonderful stories of how down to earth. I've never had any about you, but certainly about Eddie just showing up at random places.
Yeah. He does that.
That's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
You haven't driven around, just out of curiosity, seeing how often you've been here over the last several years. Have you ever driven around and heard my show, or no?
I'm not sure if I have. I don't think I have. I usually just kind of play CDs and stuff. That's how kind of outdated I am. I guess I got to get my iPod going.
I don't want you on the iPod. I want you on 105.9 with me.
All right, 105. Can I get 105.9 over here? Because I haven't found any radio over here.
Are you Are you not on Oahu now?
We are on Oahu, but we're over kind of North Shore area.
Yeah. Well, 105.9.
105.9. I will listen today.
Please do.
I promise you.
You will be on at 4.
Okay.
You can hear yourself. It's ironic that you've. I mean, I ask a lot of those Hawaii questions because you've made the move to end your tour here.
Yeah.
And
we've talked about that for years, but.
Really?
Yeah, it was kind of Boom's idea. He brought it up. He goes, "Hey man, why don't we end in Hawaii sometime?" And we just kind of didn't do it the last time he suggested it, and then we felt I can't remember where we landed the last time, but we thought when we were there, we're like, we should have ended in Hawaii this time. So we did it this time.
Certainly, it's a great celebratory kind of place to go.
Oh my God, yeah, it's great.
And the irony would be that you too are doing really the same thing.
Yeah.
Did you have yours? I seem to recall that yours was sort of, that Blaisdell gig was planned a long time ago.
Yeah, I think we planned it a long time ago, and then you two had planned a tour, but they had to cancel it for some reason, and then they rescheduled. So. And
how did you end up getting that gig? I'm just curious.
They offered it to us, and we were just kind of like, well, sure, we'd love to open up for you two. We love you two, and we love you too. And we really do. And we ended up doing a song with Bono and Edge called "Rockin' in the Free World" down in Australia for World Hunger organization. And so we got a chance to kind of hang out with them. And I've seen them for years. I saw them since the war tour, and I just think they're a phenomenal band. So. We certainly subscribe to their kind of ethics and morals in their music. So
you really do. That's funny you put it that way, because what I was going to say was there are not many bands who are sort of the people's band very much the way the way Pearl Jam and U2 come across.
Okay,
and that's what I sort of was saying. You've had it's been interesting how you've presented yourselves through the years, and you have lasted. You have this super kind of over-the-top kind of perception to many fans. I remember in the beginning it was impossible to get tickets to see Pearl Jam.
Yeah. Now we're begging people to come.
Now, and it doesn't lessen the fact that you've had a gigantic impact that few other artists ever really will, and you maintain that credibility. Do you find it's hard to stay down? I mean, you're a very down-to-earth cat, and I've interacted with you once before, but you're the same as you were then, really.
Really? When was that? Was that in Boston? Or
yeah, it was. Maybe
right.
You'll recall it because you were doing some wonderful shows. It was in April of 1994, and you were doing 2 nights at the historic Boston Garden.
Boston Garden, I remember playing there, yeah.
Yeah, and you went to a club while you were in town called Axis on Lansdowne Street.
Right.
And a bunch of you went there late at night, and we ended up talking to each other just briefly, and that was the only time I ever really met you. I've seen you several times since and been up close and watched the show,
right.
but you just always struck me then, because I remember people who were like, well, what was he like to just talk to? And I was like, the guy is so normal. And, so I'm just curious, is there when you meet other rock stars who act like a rock star, what's the internal response that Mike McCready has?
Kind of ridiculous. It's like, why are you acting that way? But it just depends on who I'm meeting. It's like if I get to meet Keith Richards, and I have a couple times, I'm like, wow, this is a guy I've always looked up to for years because of the music, and just totally kind of awestruck, and Mick Jagger, that kind of thing. And same with Bono and Edge, you kind of like, whoa, but they were cool, it is, polite, and a lot of times you don't want to meet the people that you look up to. I mean, that's the thing, because my perception of what I think they are will be blown, and then I can't keep my little fantasy about them.
I know the same. I know the same deal. One time I was talking with Ozzy in his dressing room many, many years ago, and we were talking about that and about how much he loves the Beatles, and he was saying to me, I was very hesitant to even meet him because I didn't want to. I mean, it's just what you said.
Yeah.
So
you have this whole perception built that you build your whole life around, and then it's just like, whoa.
It is, especially if the band, is of that significance in your life. I'm curious how you ended up. Yesterday, I had a conversation with Peter Frampton, who's been on my show a few times. A wonderful guy, and you're on 2 tracks on Fingerprints, and it was great to, and I knew I was I expected to be speaking with you today, so we talked a lot about that, and he sent along a very warm aloha, by the way.
Oh, aloha back to him.
And can you share a little of what it was like to work with Peter?
Yeah, Peter was. It was really cool. Matt and I. He had contacted us. We had played part of the Vote for Change tour in his hometown. And where was it?
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, exactly. And he had come out and jammed with us, and he had expressed wanting to play. He was really into Black Hole Sun, and so he wanted to record that song. And Matt was like, "Yeah, sure." We were kind of, honored, and we grew up with Peter Frampton and stuff like that. So. We all arranged the whole thing as management and all this kind of thing. And he came out, I think, right before we started our last record. And we recorded over the period of 3 days. And it's just like a totally weird dream come true. We jammed. And let me tell you, that guy is sick on guitar play. I mean, I'm sure you've heard him, but he should be up there with Eric Clapton, though, because I'm not being too flowery. He really knows. He's one of those guys that came from the England blues school of guitar playing, and he shows it when you get together and jam with him. I mean, he's sick. He'll rip your head off. And so I was trying to keep up with him the whole time, and it was just a great experience, real fun,
When I ended my interview with him yesterday, I reminded him basically of what you said. I said, Peter, you are a household name. You've been in cartoons and movies and TV, and your music is so celebrated. But I wanted to remind him right then and there that the work he did on Now, his last record, like that, the tribute to George, the While My Guitar Gently Weeps in particular, and the stuff on the new record, the Fingerprints album, I said what you said. I said, you're playing. I don't think he's ever really been as appreciated for how much of a monster he is. How
and he's
soulful.
Always practicing, too. He's walking around always practicing. So
he's gotten better. He's like one of the few cats who's kind of gotten tighter almost, it seems. Would you agree that that's...
I think so. I mean, I couldn't... I was trying to trade licks with him, and I was like, oh, my God, this guy's just running all over me. And but it was also I was learning as I was watching him do that. So
I bet you were.
Yeah.
You stood there with some, and that's cool because you describe it just how I thought you would. How it's impressive to you. So I guess all these years later, what's strange about you is early on, you cats were able to integrate with older rock guys. Neil Young in particular. You did
Neil,
You did the Mirror Ball record, and you prior to that even you had jammed a couple times. You had ended up on stage together. How close are you to him in terms of like a personal thing?
As close as you can be to Neil Young. He's always super personal to us and super nice, and he'll come out and he'll jam with us, or we'll do the same. We'll go to his Bridge School concert. In San Francisco, and he's just always very, very, very cool and laid back and kind of wise and funny, and it's real natural to be around him. I guess that's how you explain it. And we feel like, oh my God, we're hanging out with Neil Young. And it's also cool too because it's very laid back. There's no kind of airs or pretensions or anything.
And as I mentioned when introducing you on a different topic, but there's a connection there. Some of the time you've spent with Neil is time giving back to the community at large. The Bridge School benefits, certainly helping out handicapped children, is a very noble thing. And I do the MS walk here every year.
Oh, cool.
And feel compelled to do as much as I can. And the upcoming show tomorrow night, I want to point out to people, in addition to being a very intimate place to see Pearl Jam, a tiny, itsy-bitsy baby arena to see them in. You're going to use an element of your ticket price to give back to the community via the Vitalogy Foundation.
Yeah.
How did that come to be?
Well, we were, the beneficiary is I'm pronouncing this right, Hui Malama Aiki Kai Foundation. It was in honor of Boom and Pinky, Boom, our keyboard player, and his wife. It's an after-school ocean-based program for Waimanalo youth.
Waimanalo.
Yeah, I hope I said that right. The guy from Seattle trying to pronounce all that. And how that happened was just through them. They thought this was a good organization, and we trusted their judgment on that. And our tour, we've been giving away $1 from each of our shows to a local, whatever the local charity we've kind of deemed needs some money. In say in Cincinnati it was something different, in Boston it was something different, in Seattle it was something different. So we just felt that it was an important cause, and Boom and Pinky felt that too. So we went for it.
That's really cool of you to do.
That's what you should do, I think. We just felt like, why not? It's easy to do.
Exactly, and that's it's very easy to do. Not enough people really stop and do anything like that, and that's why I want to point it out to people, because this market, it's especially important here. Money is scarce, and concerts are very expensive.
I would imagine, yeah.
And the artists often are seen. The perception is accurate. The artists are very well off and have a lot of things in their lives, and they're charging a fortune to go see them. And the give back is off. It's usually quite clear there isn't much of one. And with you guys, it's different, and you made that sort of a point. Plus, that's cool that you do that wasn't your first Bridge School this fall. You've done it a few times, right?
I don't even know if it's our 6th or 8th. I don't even know.
That's so happening. You always make it your. What does he call and say? Hey, will you help me this year?
We kind of do it. Yeah, he does, but it's kind of we do it every other year, and luckily he calls every other year, or calls. It just depends on what our schedule is and stuff. But we'll always clear a little space for Neil, because he's been good to us, and we had a great touring with him as his backup band a long time ago. And over in Europe we had for the Mirrorball tour. That was really fun, and we will always clear out sort of a space, and so it's been basically every other year.
Do you believe in karma?
Yeah, I do. I think I do. I think that if you try to put out good energy and you put out a positive, that will hopefully in turn come back to you. And if not, you're still doing something to change the atmosphere or the environment that you're in, and that's a positive thing. And there's not enough of that.
There sure isn't.
Yeah.
As I wrap this up, of all possible artists left for you to work with or collaborate in any way musically, are there any aspirations you'll put forth, and then someday, years down the road, when I play this back, you'll have already accomplished it? I'm just curious.
That I would want to play with, that I would want to record with?
Yeah, that you'd want to do something with that you never have had the chance to, or that you would want to work with again, either.
Oh, wow. I'm trying to think.
A big heavy cat. I'm thinking like a Frampton, or maybe even a B.B. King, and I don't want to put names in your head, but that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, a blues type thing would be cool. I'd love to trade licks with B.B. King, or on more of a rock thing, do something with playing one of Paul Stanley's songs or something from Kiss. I don't know, something like that. I love rock. I love blues. So,
dude, how outrageous! You just mentioned him. Do you know who I talked to just moments before you called?
Him?
Paul.
No way.
I just talked to him for like half an hour.
I keep missing Paul Stanley. I wanted to see him in Seattle, and he just played there. How was it? Is he coming over to play or something?
No, he's got that record.
Yeah.
And we're a classic rock station, but I sort of believe in trying to support those kind of projects.
Yeah.
And we've been playing the hell out of that tune.
Right.
And so that's why he was on.
Excellent.
Of all the cats you name.
Well, he's one of the guys he's one of the reasons I started playing music was because of those guys.
There's no doubt that Kiss have been a huge influence on a lot of people's careers who are in the music business, and definitely fans, just being a huge part of their lives. much like Pearl Jam have become. And I really do appreciate getting to talk with you.
Thank you.
The great Mike McCready of Pearl Jam, their guitar player. He's been very giving of his time today and makes his first appearance tomorrow night at the Blaisdell, and then a week later at Aloha Stadium, opening up for U2. Tickets are on sale for both of those shows. And a really special thing having you as a part of the show today.
Hey, thanks. Can you say hello to Billy Cox? I actually jammed with him a long time ago on at a Hendrix benefit on Machine Gun, and I don't know if he'll remember that, but it was about 5 years ago in San Diego.
I'll make a deal with you. I'll do that. Would you be willing, if Sarah sets it up, that I could spend just a moment or two with you after your sound check taping an in-person thing?
That'd be fine.
I'll set it up with her, and I'll be in and out of your hair quick just so
Okay.
I can do a little in-person thing with you there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Aloha, brother.
Aloha to you. Aloha, this is Mike McCready from Pearl Jam, and you're listening to my friend Dave Lawrence. Aloha, it's Mike McCready from Pearl Jam. It's that magical time of day. Hey, Dave, it's 4:20. Aloha, it's Mike McCready from Pearl Jam, and it's 4:20, that magical time of day. Hey, Dave.